Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is TDT coming back at you with your midweek check-in. So how's everyone doing today? Let's jump right in here and get started. We're looking at the dollar index. We're on this daily time frame, and during my weekly analysis video, which I do apologize, it was posted a day late because of some issues I was having with TikTok was down, and that took down CapCut. I think those two companies are connected in some kind of way. And when TikTok went down, it also took CapCut down for a few hours. It was down for a day, so I was unable to export my video until the following day. So you got the weekly analysis on Monday instead of Sunday. So I do apologize there. Now, in that video, if you go back and take a look, my analysis, my prediction was we were here. I thought price would stay in this area and we would get up close candle, kind of like how we got here after taking this liquidity. But at the opening, we immediately gapped down. Price got into this balanced price range below, and once it fell below that, it came back up, rebalanced that range, and then we had another drive lower, taking that liquidity. So let's take a look at our weekly, and you could see here we're taking that dive into liquidity that happened today. Oh, I'm sorry, that happened yesterday. On Tuesday, it dived into that liquidity zone, and today we had a small recovery. Right now, I believe price is going to go back into this area one more time, probably rebalance this gap, and we may continue this downward plummet heading to, let's see on a weekly if there's any other immediate liquidity pools that it may want to engage with right here under these bodies. I'm not saying that it's going to go all the way to the wick, but it definitely may want to stab in this area and getting into this gap here below the market. So we'll see if it does that this week, or if it kind of moves back around in this gap before giving us another drive lower. But it looks like it's showing weakness at this point, and we'll see where we're at tomorrow. So let's move on to NASDAQ. And here we go with NQ. So I want you to take a look. This is the weekly gap I was speaking about during the weekly projection and analysis that I did. You can check that video. It's the prior one to this. And what I was looking at is last week we talked about price going and taking liquidity without breaking down completely. I keep saying that I feel as if this market is going to remain bullish until it shows me a drive that closes below one of these candles. I am not of the belief that we are bearish yet on this market. So last week it went below, it swept this liquidity for December 25th, went down into this rejection block, and then it pulled back above that gap. So for the beginning of this week, we're looking at how it responds within this void in price. I want you to keep in mind something. This would be the full fair value gap that we're looking at. I am just looking more directly into that void because I'm seeing a lot of motion in that void, particularly on an intraday standpoint. Okay, so price is being held in this area, and you can see it's just scratching back and forth. It's a lot of consolidation for a lot of weeks without reaching into this all-time high, which I believe it is going to do. What it does after moving into that all-time high is what I am curious about. This is that week of October 27th. Okay, so look at how this week it gets above it and it cannot get below it so far for this week, and we get another bullish pull moving into that all-time high. Okay, so I said in the video, because of this breakdown, we want to see what it does in this area, and I'm gonna explain to you what I mean when I say what does it do in these areas, because you're probably thinking I'm saying, because I'm watching it to see if it breaks down and we get a run into this liquidity zone here. But if price does not give us those signals, then we're not going to do that intraday. Look at how price stays in this gap, breaks above it, comes back, respects the EQ, and makes another push up here on Monday, and that leads to price going up the 2 following days, which is Tuesday and Wednesday. Now, once we're in this gap, I wanted to see what happens in this gap, and look what has happened. We have closed in that gap. Okay, this is very important for me personally because now it gives me a good look at where we're potentially going for the end of this week. I made a prediction 2 weeks ago that showed price going into all-time highs and then returning to this gap here and then moving up for another run. But right now we've closed right here. So tomorrow we want to see if price drifts back down into this gap, and we want to watch it. Okay, when you're watching these gaps, when it comes up, we're watching to see if it falls, but if it accumulates, this is accumulation in the gap. It's good to study the difference. It lets you know what you need to do intraday. Okay, so we have ran and already taken this liquidity pool. I believe that we're going to retrace, and then at the end of the week we may push into all-time highs. We'll see what happens. At any time this market can break down. There's a lot going on out there. These are just things that I'm watching and I'm explaining on this YouTube video. Okay, so it's not financial advice. Let's just look at it and see what happens, and I'll be reporting at the end of the week and with the midweek check-ins. So let's move into ES, and here we go with ES. Now on the video I did say this was, I was thinking it was a break, and we wanted to see if price wanted to continue falling, which it hasn't done. All it did was kept moving, came back, and look, just like on NASDAQ, ES also has this void in price. And you see our price dips back into that, rebalances that, and then we move in. And I think we touched the record high today during FOMC, and then a rejection. Okay, so now same here with ES. We want to see how much price pulls back going into tomorrow. You see that we've created a new gap right here, and we also have these gaps on the other side and on these prior runs, giving us more confidence that if it gets back into these areas, we can look for another bullish push. Based on the price action, that is what I would be looking for. Once again, this is not financial advice. Study price when it gets back into this area specifically. I'm gonna remove all this noise here, and I'm gonna show you the gap that I want to see if price wants to return back into right here below. I want to see if tomorrow we get another down candle, and if it respects this gap, or does it fall through it. Okay, keeping in mind that we also have this structure here. It's very, what's the word, it's very very thin price action with all these gaps and breaks in market that it wants to rebalance, and it draws back to it before it pushes out for these other runs that they're making. Okay, so in ES, that's what we're looking for. Very similar to NQ. Right now we do have an SMT divergence because NASDAQ did not hit that higher high the way ES did today. So I'm thinking Thursday we may get some selling back into a certain area, and then Friday we might have a big push. If it all breaks down, then I'm incorrect, but that's what I'm looking at as of now. And this is your midweek check-in. This is TDT. I hope you guys are having a great week. I hope you're protecting your capital. I hope you see what I was saying from the previous video about how price can become very wicky and very violent during this FOMC week. Even though FOMC was pretty much a nothing burger, you know, it still causes price to become not very clean. It's very dirty price. It doesn't respect the gaps the way you think it's going to do, and it creates so many different gaps that it becomes hard to follow. Okay, so you just want to dial back with your risk on these weeks, and always make sure that you're staying disciplined and sticking to your trading plans. Okay, so that's TDT. Y'all have a great day. I'll see you on the weekend with that weekly projection and analysis. Y'all have a good day. Peace.